All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to my channel. It's Mike Patel again with Home Savvy Central. This is the channel that we talk about home ownership, home sellers, anything that the homeowners and home sellers would like to find out. And of course, we also chat about things where buyers can find out what buyers can think, how sellers are thinking. So this is a great channel to learn about tips, updates, trends regarding home ownership. But that's not what we are going to talk about today. We have a special live program today. I'm going to take you through some lot of data, a lot of facts, a lot of trends coming up in the next few months and the next few years. So I'm excited to be here. Again, thank you very much for being here. Let's jump right into it. The topic today that I would like to talk about, or I'm going to talk about, is the housing market pivot just escalated. Act before it's too late. So if you're a seller, what do you need to know if you're thinking about moving, if you're thinking about selling, if you're thinking about remodeling and then moving after a few years? What should you do? Where is the market headed? So let's see what happens. Let's talk about that. I'm going to turn off the music so we have no distraction. And in the meantime, if you have any questions or if you have any suggestions or want to talk about anything, feel free to comment below. I would really appreciate it. I'm here to answer any questions, get you any resources, and be as helpful as I can. If you have any questions or want to learn about the trends about real estate. So you probably heard or seen reports or seen other videos. Are we in a housing market? Are we headed towards a bubble? Well, let's not go to the bubble, but let's talk about, are we in a buyer's market or are we still in a seller's market? What I would say, it depends where you are. You are definitely in a buyer's market based on the reports I've read or seen or talked to other brokers. If you are in, say, states like Florida, of course, many areas of Florida, because there's a lot of inventory, there's a lot of homes sitting. If you're in Texas, some areas where they have a lot of overbuilt new construction, in those areas, yes, it is a buyer's market. And also, if it's a regular home sales, not brand new homes, then it is a buyer's market. And we'll talk about what the difference is or what the buyers can do now versus what they could not do. So before I talk about that, I want to show you a slide and kind of go through the numbers to first explain where we are in the market, where we could be heading. And I didn't want to just talk about things, so I wanted to show you some stats. So let me find this page that I'm looking for. If I can find it right here quickly. Podcast. There it is. Okay, let me share that with you. Okay, so this is from the data company called Fast Company, and it's, let's talk about from the top. Number of housing markets with falling home prices jumps sharply to 109, up from 31 metro areas in January. And I wanted to bring this up to explain to or show you that yes, there is a big change in the housing market, and actually it's the second phase of the housing market. What we saw in the spring this year, or in the beginning of the year, was that there was a shift in the market. A lot of homes were not selling. There were a lot of price reduction. So we saw a change in the market. Now, the second phase, the reason I called it, the title, it says here, the housing market pivot just escalated, because that's happening more and more. And here's a fact right here. So if you go back to these, let me read out the facts here. Let's talk about, go right to the fact. I want to show you housing markets where home prices are falling, which means, and I'm not talking about number of home sales, I'm talking about the home prices. So among the 300 largest metro area housing markets, 110 markets saw home prices fall year over year between June 2024 and June 2025. So this is fresh data. It's not 4 months old, 5 months old. What happened last month? We're in July. The biggest drop is Punta Gorda in Florida, with a drop of almost 12% in home prices. not number of homes, but home prices. Cape Coral, Florida, North Port, Sarasota, Florida again, Naples, Florida again. So the top three are Florida. If you look at Tampa, if we go down, we see Delton or Daytona Beach area, and a lot of states are Florida. And I don't know if you picked up or not from this graph. There's a lot of Texas states. Dallas Fort Worth. Wow, Dallas Fort Worth. Let's see what the drop is there. It was a 4% drop. Let's look at another Texas I saw way on top here. Number one, two, three, four, five. Austin, and I've mentioned Austin in a lot of my live, and I've been mentioning Austin all along last year that Austin has been dropping. And here's proof. Austin, Round Rock, Georgetown, Texas, that neighborhood has dropped 6% from last year. And it wasn't a very hot year last year in Austin. So if you truly look at it, I would say it's more than 6%. Let's keep on going and see where else things are happening. And one of the surprises that I saw, and I'm going to bring it up there, there was a couple of Californias in there. And because I'm from California and because I am in Anaheim, I thought that we were still increasing in prices overall. But if you combine Los Angeles, Long Beach, and the Anaheim metro area, I see a drop of 38%. Well, I'm sorry, 0.38%, which is negligible. But if I go deep down and if I look at, I'm biased because I'm in Anaheim, Orange County. If we don't combine Los Angeles and Long Beach in this mix, Anaheim area, Orange County, I would say has not really dropped. And I'm biased on this. And I'm saying that because in the last couple of podcasts or live, I said that we are not dropping. And I still believe we're not dropping overall. But to say it out, the fact the Los Angeles, Long Beach, Anaheim area has a drop of less than 0.5%. So it's negligible. Let's look at a couple of more or a few more that have dropped that are kind of surprising. Not really surprising. I've always said that Texas, Florida, Arizona are taking a hit. If you look over here, Phoenix, Arizona is down 3.4%. Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia area is down almost 3%. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, North Carolina, down 3%. Colorado, Denver, we've talked about Denver quite a bit, or I've used them in the graphs quite a bit, is down 2.65%. Let's look at something that's not Indiana. That's a surprise. Lafayette, Indiana is down 2%. So this just tells you that there's a shift in the housing market and it's escalating because things are changing. Let me see here. I might have not shown you the right graph, but I'm sorry about that. Let me see here. Actually, I did, and you were seeing this. So let me go back to the stream, and you were seeing these graphs that I was reading on. And if I did not show you, I do apologize. I have these screens mixed up here. So anyway, so the other thing we have to look at is why do prices drop? And simple math, simple economics, the only reason prices drop is there is an increase in inventory. That's the key thing. So I'm going to see if I can find this chart here. Let's see right there. I'm going to share that with you again and show you where the home prices are increasing or dropping because of high inventory. So let me share that screen again. It's right there. Share. Let's see. Yeah, right there. So if you can see the chart, I'm going to talk about a couple of things here. Right there. And this is, by the way, this is from Realtor.com. This article was published May 1st, 2025, pretty recent. April 25 monthly housing market trends report. It says here, and this what we're going to go through next couple of minutes is the overall trend on what's happening in the housing market, and that's nationwide. Do keep in mind that the markets are local. So what I'm talking about today is very general, very broad. So what's happening in Sarasota, Florida, Naples, Punta Gorda that we talked about is not happening in Anaheim, Orange County. So keep in mind that these are national numbers. Your area or your neighborhood may be higher. Even within the city, there are up and down areas. So the inventory of homes for sale rose 30% year over year, making the 18th consecutive month of inventory growth. Inventory surpassed April 2020 levels, hitting a new post pandemic high. Here's the reason why our home price is dropping. Inventory is way too high. 30% is a big jump from just a year ago. This is not a 5 year stat, this is a 1 year stat. I just want to make sure you can see the screen so I'm following you. Okay, so let's look at the other number. The total number of unsold homes, including those under contract, which means they're pending, was up 20% compared to last year, which means that a lot of homes did not sell. And obviously, because the prices were higher and the buyers thought they're not going to pay that price, and they waited for the inventory to come on. As inventory came on, seller said, "Oh my gosh, there's two homes on the street. I gotta sell. I'm gonna drop my price 10,000, 20,000, 30,000." And that's what happens when you have a lot of inventory. Competition arises because sellers are desperate, or seller may have to move, or the buyer will say, "Hey, Mr. 555 Main Street, I'll buy your house at $400,000. I'm going to offer you $20,000 less. I need $10,000 repairs, and I want you to pay $10,000 in closing cost." If you don't agree, he's going to go to the next house, same house, and ask the seller the same thing, and whoever takes it gets the house sold. So when you have more inventory, there's a competition created within the neighborhood, within the sellers, which drops the price. Because if I had to move to Phoenix because I got a job relocation, or my mom and dad were sick and I had to move there right away, I need to sell. I can't wait 6 months, 7 months, 8 months to sell. So that creates competition, and that creates price drop, and we have seen that. So the numbers are talking to us. Pending home sales, homes under contract fell 3% compared with last year, which is a small drop, yet it is a drop. Any drop is a drop. Since we've been having for the last 10, 15 years price increases, and yes, I did say 15 years, since 2011 to 2025, we have seen a sharp or steady increase in price, and 2025 may be the year where that breaks that graph. So let's see what happens with the reports December 21st, 2025. I'm anxious to see it, where that overall graph goes. Newly listed newly listed homes increased 9.2% from a year ago. That means inventory went up again. Homes spent a median of 50 days on the market, four more than a year ago. Now, remember, in the pandemic times, 2021, 2022, when the rates were 2.2%, 3%, homes were lasting for 3 or 4 days. Our days on the market, Anaheim Hills, was 5 days, 6 days. Homes sold in 2 hours. Now they're taking a medium is 50 days, but in some states, they're 120 days, 160 days. Florida, maybe 7 months to sell a house. So the time it takes to sell is more because there's more competition, there's more homes on the market. The national median list price for homes was 431, largely unchanged from last year, while the prices per square foot rose 1.1%. Now, if you're a seller, if you're a homeowner, obviously, if I'm a homeowner and if my neighbor sold a house for $1 million, I want the $1 million too. I'm not going to drop it. So that's why it says here the medium, it says here that, what did I just say? Newly listed homes increased 9.2%. And then the national medium list price did not change because sellers don't want to change the list price. But as the third month comes in, and the fourth month comes in, and the fifth month comes in, sellers start scratching their head and say, "Oh shoot, my home is not selling." They drop the price, and then it sells. So there are decrease in prices. 18% of listings saw price reduction. Here you go. 18% of listings saw price reduction, the highest share for any April since the last 2016, which means sellers are finding out the hard way that homes are not selling at their price, so they're dropping the price. So I just wanted to give you a snapshot of what's happening on the market. There is a significant change. We are what we call, the media calls it, or experts calls it, the second phase of this change, and it is happening. We're seeing all the numbers changing. We talked about home inventory, listing prices, times on the market, um, and the change in the prices and these drops. 107 metro areas out of 30 out of 300 have dropped. So there is a significant change happening in the housing market. So here's the question: would you sell if the values drop 10%? Or would you sell right now? Or if the prices does not change, are you still willing to sell it at the same price? But what if they don't change? Are you willing to take a chance and wait 6 months to a year and say, you know what, I'm going to wait till 2026? What if the prices go up? Who knows? They may go up 1 or 2 or 3%, but what if they drop 1 or 2 or 3%? So please comment, or later on make a comment. Would you, if you were thinking about selling, would you sell now, or would you wait and see what's happening in the market? Also, on that note, I wanted to show you another slide I have on my website. I'm going to show you quickly a screen here. Whoops, sorry. I'm going to share it with you. Oops, not that one. Share screen. There it goes. So this is just a, if you go to my, you're on my website anyways, but if you go to my later on, or even while you're watching this, if you go to my section where it says post, on the top side it says videos and live and um, comments, etc. I'm doing a poll, and the poll is, I don't know if you can see this. Let me see. Oh yes, you can. All right. So let me go back to the poll. The question is, um, would you sell if the interest rates drop to 5.5%? And the reason is because when the rates drop to 5.5%, there'll be more buyers. At the same time, if you're a seller and if you're thinking about buying something, let's say you're moving from California, you want to move somewhere, and if you had 2 or 3 or 4% interest rate, would you wait till they drop to 5.5%? Because right now it may be 6.8%. So there's also a link in the description. If you're on my channel, go to the description. There's a second link over there. Click on it, and I like to see what you think, or what people are thinking about as far as, oops, sorry about that. So anyway, let's move on from there. So, as I mentioned to you, a couple of things just to reiterate: the inventory is growing steadily. In the last 84 weeks, the home inventory has gone up. That is very significant news for the real estate industry, especially if you're thinking about selling, because the more inventory there is, the less price you get. And the more inventory there is, it's going to take longer to sell. The more inventory there is, they may ask you for repairs and credits and closing costs that goes with the territory. So if you feel that the inventory is going to go up more, this may be the right time to sell if you're thinking about selling. I'm not saying you're going to be selling, but if you're thinking about it, just a hint, you know. And then here's another stat. uh, 1 in 4 sellers are slashing prices, not dropping, slashing prices. That means 25% of the homes out there are dropping their price significantly. So, as the medium home price, listing price, it was mentioned in there, was 431. So, I would say on average, sellers would have to drop the price by 5% to make a sale. In other words, if the house is at 430, you're going to have to drop anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 to make a sale, a faster sale. So just keep that in mind. If you're thinking about selling, you have to list it right. Consult with your local realtor. He or she will tell you what's the right price to list it at based on your inventory. If you're in Florida, if you're in Arizona, if you're in Denver, if you're in Philadelphia, if you're in Chicago, Texas, a lot of areas, you're going to have to price it at market or below market, because more and more and more homes are coming on the market, and the more level you are with the market price, or just under the market, your house will sell. Homes sell in any market. In a recession, a hyperinflation, or non-recession, homes sell. In 2008, when people had no jobs, no money, lots of people bought homes because prices were low. So even if your price drops, and the drop is just something in the market, your house will sell if you price it right, if you market it right, and it's presented right, and of course your agent is in good communication with other realtors and with you. So we'll talk about agents, importance of agents, towards the end of this conversation. So I mentioned to you what's going to happen with the price. So I wanted to touch on that a little bit and see what's going to happen. So let me see. I'm going to show you a site from Zillow and see what they're saying about what's going to happen with the prices. So let me find that website. Let's see. It's Zillow. I've opened up these screens here. There it is. So this is a report from Zillow, and I'm gonna okay. So this report is Zillow forecast for metro level home prices price change between March 2025 and March 2026. And I brought up Zillow because a lot of the viewers that watch my channel are familiar with Zillow. But I want to mention one thing about Zillow. I'm giving this report because it's a report from Zillow, but there was a forecast done 3 4 months ago, um, with Mortgage Bankers Association, Fannie Mae, Wells Fargo's, and other reputable companies like HES, uh, and Zillow and Redfin. So, beginning of the year, this year, Zillow and Redfin predicted that the home prices will drop in 2026 by about 0.5%, half a point. Apparently, they're going to be wrong because the prices are actually going up. Yes, we did mention that in some areas prices have dropped, like 10% in Punta Gorda, in Denver, in Texas. So the prices are dropping there. But certain areas, home prices are jumping. Northeast right now is seeing a jump in prices. So overall, the prediction was that the home prices are going to go up in 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028, 29, an average of anywhere from 1 to 3%, depending on the area. So my point was Zillow, Redfin were wrong. They just readjusted their forecast and now saying that prices are going to go up because everybody else predicted, and the numbers show the prices have gone up. But if you look at this chart from Resi Club and Zero sharing it, if you look at the red dots or red map on, the forecast of price change is anywhere from 0% to a negative 8%. So if you see these yellow spots, New Orleans, they say the price may drop by 7.5%. Austin may drop 4.1%. This is the forecast. Florida is showing 0% change. Keep in mind that the Florida prices have already dropped in certain areas from last year. So you see a lot of places, a lot of cities, areas where a lot of them are 0 to negative up to 4%. If you see some of these areas are dark brown or darker brown than others. San Jose is dropping 4.5%. Phoenix is dropping 1.5%. um, Milwaukee is going to drop 1.2%. But if you look at some of the areas that are a little bit bluish, you can't see in the map, but I can see them here. There are places where home prices are going to go up, but a lot of places are kind of neutral right now. So I just wanted to share that with you. Let me see if I can see it clearer and talk about it a little bit more in detail. Let's see Zillow right there. Yeah. Among the 300 largest US metro area housing markets, Zillow expects the strongest home price appreciation between March and March 2026 to occur in these 10 areas: Atlantic City 2.4%, Kingston, New York, Rochester, Knoxville, Torrington, Bangor, Syracuse, Vineland, New Jersey, Concord, New Hampshire, Norwich, Connecticut, 1.2%, anywhere from 1.2 to 2.4%. And let's look at among the 300 largest US metro area housing markets. Zillow expects the weakest home price appreciation between March 2025 and March 26. Louisiana 10%, Lake Charles 8.9%, all the way down to Monroe, Louisiana 5.5%. So there is a big movement going on here. Um, Here's another chart. What happened last year, or at least from March 2024 to March 2025. Let me make sure you can see this. Yeah, you can see that. All these blue areas that you see, blue dots, they actually had a price increase until March 2025, and then it started dropping. But overall, because of this happened in March, because of the price increases, the overall effect will be the nationwide. The overall effect will be prices will be going up. Let's see if I can show you some other map here. Okay, that should do it. So let me get out of this screen here. The other thing we have to look at is how is all this impacting the housing sales? Yes, prices have dropped. Yes, inventory has increased. Yes, interest rates are 6.8. But overall, let's look at what's happening nationwide. The number of homes sold. What's happening over there? I wanted to check that quickly. Um, Let me see if I have that map here. Okay, yeah, there it is. Let me share that with you. In the meantime, if you have any questions, any suggestions, please share with us. I'll be glad to answer them, and have an answer for you, or at least get you the resources once I have it. So let me share with you the Statista page. Let's see. One minute here. Is it this one here? Nope, not that one. Just bear with me 1 minute. Sorry about that. Oh, there it is. Sorry. Okay. There you go. Okay, this report is from Statista. Came out when this came. It's pretty recent. Can't see the date over here, but the stats shows, and it doesn't matter because it's annual charts. Wanted to show you what's happening to the home sales in 2024. We saw the lowest home sales of 4.06 million homes sold. In 2023, it was 4.09. The prediction is that in 2025 it's going to be a little bit higher, not by much, but there's going to be 4.24 million homes sold. And in 2026 they predict that that'll jump to 4.54. Of course, that's based on the current rates, but if the rates do drop, and as you know, you might have seen it on the news, the Trump administration is thinking about two things. One, forcing Powell and the Feds to cut the interest rate, and if they don't cut the interest rate, this is the federal funds rate, which could affect the mortgage rates. Then Trump is even threatening and has threatened publicly to fire Powell and then put his own guy or gal that'll drop the interest rate. So we don't know that's going to happen. But if you don't take that into take that into consideration, and I don't think we should, because it hasn't happened yet. And with the Trump administration, one day he says this and the next day he does that, and the one day he does that and he changes the next day. So let's leave that scenario out. Assuming that the rates do what they do, Feds have been doing what they're going to do, then the prediction is that number of homes sold in 2025 and 2026 will rise. And the reason is because they expect home rates to drop. I don't think they're going to drop significantly, because if they drop significantly, the problem is, and the challenge is, and the issue is, let's say the rates drop to 5.5%. Trump fires Powell, puts somebody in there, drops the federal fund rate significantly, which may drop the mortgage rates to 5%, 5.5%. There's going to be a frenzy of refi. There's going to be a frenzy of people making offers on the homes, because all the buyers who are sitting here cannot afford at 6.8. When you drop to 5.5, they're all going to come on the market. Guess what that's going to do to the housing market? It's going to raise the prices significantly. When that happens, uh, market will go down again, because once the price goes up in 2 or 3 or 4 months, it's going to come back down again. So it's not really going to help. That's my thinking, and of course these are my personal opinions. I'm not an economist or an expert, uh, so I'm just giving you and sharing you my opinion based on what I feel is happening with this chart, talking to other brokers, talking to buyers and sellers every day, and talking to other consumers on what they think is going to happen. So I'm just giving you my opinion. Let me know if you agree or not. That way I can learn and give you more pertinent information if I have to go there. So hopefully you can make some comments, and I'll be glad to share with you. So I'm going to refer back to this chart again, and I want to go back to what happened in 2005, 6, 7 crash. If you look at 2005, we had 7 million homes sold. So even there was a recession, people lost jobs, people didn't have any money, people still bought homes. There were a lot of sharks and investors and corporations who bought homes. Even regular people, I sold homes to many who could barely survive. But remember, the price had dropped significantly. In Orange County, homes that were selling for 600 went down to $400,000. So a lot of people could afford homes. that did still have jobs and have good credits and had good tax returns. So there were almost 6.5 million homes sold in 2005, 6.5 million again in 2006. The lowest so far I've seen is going to be in 2023 and 24. If you look at the chart, we had a big jump in 2021, and that was due to uh, I would say mostly there are a lot of factors, but mostly due to the 2 to 3% interest rate, where everybody jumped in. All the people who are renting jumped in and grabbed it, and then all of a sudden the rates went up, and then the prices went up, rates went up, home affordability dropped. People could not afford homes. They could afford at 3%, they could not afford at 7%. So they went out of the market, and you see a drop in sales. So all of these, the numbers are proving what's happening with the charts. And by following these, we know what's happening. And a lot of the predictions or the forecast are based on the numbers. But of course, they change because unknown or unpredictable or something stupid things may happen, like forcing the rates to drop, federal forcing federal rates, funds rates to drop, etc. I think that's not a good thing to do, but that's just giving you my opinion, because that really messes what the true thing is happening. When a monster like a Titanic is moving in a way, you can't force it to change because it takes a while to change the Titanic. You cannot uh, bring some other boats and make it, you know, push them at the back and turn them. You really can't do it. You're going to damage the boat by doing that. So let it do what's going to do. That's my personal opinion. Um, so now I wanted to just briefly chat. If you're a seller, why sellers are struggling. So if you're thinking about selling or moving, and I want to give you and talk about some scenarios. And of course, this is nationwide. This is maybe different locally, but overall, I'm going to give you 4 or 5 things why sellers are struggling, why they are going through price drops, why they have to pay closing costs, why now they have to pay repairs, why now they have to drop their home prices, why they have to wait 3 or 4 or 5 months to sell their home, instead of, hey, put it on the market, the next day it's sold. Those days are gone. So one of the reasons is the days on market taking longer to sell. If it takes longer to sell, the longer it takes, the lower the home price you'll get. That means the price is too high for that local market during that time. The second reason is a lot of the sellers are pricing the homes assuming the market has not changed. If you notice in one of the stats that I gave you from from realtor.com, it said that even the inventory went up, even the number of home sales went up. One thing that did not go down are the listing prices. That means the sellers are still believing that they're going to get the price that the neighbor got 4, 5, 6, 7 months ago. That market is gone. So we call it the unrealistic market price. So you're going to have to change the price or reduce the price and adjust to your local market to sell your home within a reasonable time. So don't struggle with the prices. The prices are what they are. They have dropped in certain areas, and if your area has dropped 10% in price, you can expect to pay the same price. So if things sold for $100 and now they're selling for $90, you can't put that up for $100. It ain't going to sell. Now the other struggle is now the homes need to be prepped and positioned, not just listed. Back in 2021, 2022, I've sold homes, went to the house, did a FaceTime or did a YouTube video, sent it to the buyers, and they bought it, regardless of, if there was clutter in the house and bathroom didn't work or the sink was leaking. Now you can't do that. You have to price it right, number one. But before that, you have to stage your home, prep your home, get rid of all the declutter, your personal items. If there's something not working, like a faucet is leaking, little things, prep it up. Have a good curb appeal so when they park the car, they can see the nice flowers or nice paint in the front, or your backyard has some nice garden. Your rooms are decent. They're staged if they need to be. Um, Everything is organized. You have depersonalized all your stuff. So when the buyers come in, they look at their pictures and not your grandma's or your grandkid pictures. I'm not trying to be mean, but trying to make a point here. So now you have to work on that. That's a requirement. You have to take professional pictures, professional videos, professional 3D videos, and market it, because they are looking at all those. If they don't like your house from the pictures, they're going to look at the next one and they're going to find the house and skip your house. So that's the reality right now. The other key thing, very, very important thing, and I may talk about this a little bit briefly without showing you any slides, but I do have a slide to show, is that now the agent you hire, whether you're a buyer's agent, but I'm talking to the sellers mostly. If you're a seller's agent in 2021, 2022, 23, you can hire any agent. Let them put up a sign, put it in the multiple listing service. Your home was going to sell, regardless of what the agent knew, how skilled he was, what kind of negotiating skill he had or she had. Everything sold. You just go to the door, scratch your head. A buyer's gonna come in and write it off. Okay, Mr. Patel, I'll buy this house. I'll pay you 20,000 over. How many offers you got? You sold the house. Today's a different market. You may have to work with an agent who is skilled, who knows how to negotiate in this market. Buyers are going to ask for a reduced price. They're going to ask for concessions. They're going to ask for closing costs. They're going to ask for repairs. How strong is your agent going to be to negotiate and not give away your house? Because agents want to make the commission. They're going to try to negotiate and not only twist the arms of the buyer's agent, but also yours, so they can have a deal. But is it benefiting you? So this is the time where if you work with an agent, the agent has to be professional. He has to know the local knowledge, the local market, the local trend, and what the buyers are doing in other homes. So you don't give your house away, in the sense, instead of selling your house for 430, if you listed at 430 and the comparatives are selling at 420, don't sell it at 410, but at least get 420, if not 430. So that's what I'm getting at. So you need a skilled agent. A lot of the realtors in the last couple of years, especially after the NAR big fiasco, where now the buyer's agent has to be paid from the buyer, uh, that has made the buyer's agent's life difficult. So you need, again, on the buyer side, a professional agent, a skilled agent who can negotiate the price and not hassle you with you as a seller paying the buyer's commission. Let them get the commission from the buyer's agent, not from you. So that's another negotiating point. It's another skill agent that you need to find. By the way, if you need such an agent, I have a link below. Drop a comment or fill out that form, and I'll refer you to those great agents which I have a network with. I've been in business for 25 years, and over the years, I've built a great network throughout USA in most of the states, and I can refer you to a top agent. You can talk to them who can help you. So I wanted to go through that. But the key thing is you have to price it right, but at the same time, don't give away your home. Don't lose $5,000, $10,000. And of course, that's not a lot of money when you have $1 million home, like in Orange County. Any home is $1 million or more. 5 or 10,000 is not a lot of money. But if you're in certain states where the medium home price is $300,000 or $350,000 or $400,000, in those prices, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 makes a big, big, big difference in your pocket. That's basically your profit after you pay your commissions, after you pay off your loans, after you pay your attorney fees, your title fees, your moving fees, and all the junk fees that you charge. So any dollar you can save is a profit to you. At the same time, you can't have profit if you can't sell your home. So you have to price it right. You have to give some concessions. You have to be a little bit flexible to get the profit you want in the first place. So I want to switch some gears and talk about why the buyer power is building. And you, as a seller, need to know how buyers are thinking, how buyers' agents are thinking, and how they'll negotiate with you. So I'm going to talk about that. But in the meantime, if you have any questions or comments, please jot them down and I'll try to answer them right away as we go along. So, what's happening now is buyers are returning with leverage. No longer are they coming and say, "Oh yeah, Mr. Seller, you want 400,000 here? I'll give you 410. You can stay in the house for 30 days. I'll buy it as it is." No, those days are gone. They're coming in with leverage. They're going to ask you for concessions. They're going to say, "Oh, there's a crack in the window. Your toilet is leaking. Your oven is not working. Could you fix it? Oh, by the way, I'm coming in with a government loan, FHA loan. I don't have the 3% down. I don't have enough closing costs. Would you pay my 10,000 in closing cost? You may have to pay that because he or she may pay you the full price, but then ask you for the repairs, ask you for concessions, ask you for closing cost, and you may have to pay that because buyers are smart. They've gained their knowledge, and just as you as a seller's agent have a good agent, they hopefully are working with a skilled agent, and the agent's going to advise them what to do, what not to do, and twist the seller's agent arm or the seller's arm. And that is happening. They may even come in with a lowball offer. So if your house is at 430 and I'm using a price of $430,000 because the medium listing price is $430,000. So I kind of stuck with that price. So if your house is at 430, they may come in and offer you $380,000 or $390,000. So don't get a shock if you get a lowball offer. Go back and talk to your realtor or your listing agent and go back with a reasonable offer. Say, hey, I want 415, 420. And now we are coming back to that era where now it's going to take negotiating on both ends before you can put an offer. And if you just say, hey, heck no, I ain't going to work with this idiot who offered 380, well, guess what? If you don't work with him, the seller next door or 2 blocks down will work with him because these people are smart. The buyer's agent will tell him, look, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, there's 5 homes, similar models within the mile radius. You like this one the best, but have a second and third choice. We'll offer them this to this first house. If you don't get it, be prepared to offer a second home and be prepared to take it at a higher price. So they're going to negotiate. So the buyers are going to buy a house, whether it's yours or your neighbor's. If you're within reason, you can sell yours. If you're unrealistic, if you're sticking to the price of 430 and the homes are selling at 410, you're going to stay in your house for a lot longer. So that's a fact. And what? So the other thing is, what type of buyers are winning right now? Are they cash investors, cash buyers, or investors, or sharks, or the government loans out there, or FHA loans? What kind of buyers are working? Well, we've seen one thing, that there's still a lot of cash buyers, a lot of investors, what we call, or what I call, sharks. They'll come in and say, hey, I'll pay you $350,000 for your house. It's listed for 430, blah blah blah, and they'll try to buy right underneath you. Especially if you're in the market for 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 months, they're going to tell the agent, hey, this seller is suffering, he's been on the market 7 months, let's knock him out of $50,000 and try to buy. And if you're desperate, somebody may sell. Any offer is better than any offers. So be prepared to get lowball offers. Doesn't mean you have to sell, but have an agent who's tactful, who has skills to communicate with the buyer's agent or the buyer's side, and then create a reasonable counter offer and put an offer. Like they say, what do they say? A bird in hand is worth what, some money, or when it comes to no bird in hand. So if you have something, negotiate and try to put it together. um, so it all boils down to pricing it right with your market, current market, not 6 months ago, not 2021. Prices are coming down. And if you're in those 100 market metro areas where prices are coming down, uh, be level with the market. And if you're in an area where home prices are going up, you could ask for more. So it works both ways. So one of the things I want to talk about, which is key to everything right now, including the inventory, is what's happening with the mortgage rates. I've already talked about it, so I won't talk a lot about it, but I do want to touch on it. Let's see, where did I talk about the mortgage rate? Okay, there it is. Okay, so I'm going to share a screen with you. One more screen. Let me stop this screen and share. All right. Okay, it's going to talk about mortgage payments, mortgage payment. Okay, hold on. Where is it? There it is. Sorry. Okay, this is from Yahoo Finance, and it's talking about when will mortgage rates go back down to 6%. Let's talk about it. This is an article from July 17th, 2025, just a few days ago. And let me read this to you. Let me make sure you can see it. Yes, you can see that. Let's see, Yahoo Finance. Where is it? Mortgage rates haven't exactly been affordable lately. The average 30-year mortgage rate has hovered between 6% and 7% for the bulk of the last 2 years. At one point, it even reached as high as 7.79%, the highest point in decades, according to Freddie Mac. It's a far cry from bargain basement rates we saw in the height of the COVID 19 era, when rates bottomed out at a mere 2.65%, the lowest ever recorded. Those ultra low rates were likely a once in a lifetime occurrence, born from the Federal Reserve's need to spur economic activity after widespread shutdowns. However, that doesn't mean mortgage rates are stuck at today's higher levels forever. Just when will they drop back down below 6%? And should you wait for 6% rates before buying a house? Or if you're a seller, selling and buying? Here's what you can expect. And I'm not going to go through the rates, but for, they may drop, they may not. The currently, and this is just an ad, so I want to skip the ad. Let's see. To understand just how much today's higher rates impact buyers and borrowers, it's important to consider home prices, which have been rising steadily for years. Right now, the median home price sits at 416,900 according to the census data. Remember, the median listing price is 431, but the median home price sold is 416. So you can see the difference of almost 15 to $20,000 difference in the median sales price and list price. Of course, sales price on average are always less than the list price in this market. Back in 2021, 22, the average sold price were higher than list price because everything was selling over. Those days are gone. We're coming to a market where the sold price will be less than the listing price on average in general. Of course, market is local. So at a 6.75% mortgage rate, the average for 30-year term as of July 17th, you'd pay about $26.96 per month on a $416,000 mortgage loan. And that's just the mortgage principal and interest. It doesn't even factor in homeowners insurance, mortgage insurance, or property taxes, which also make up your monthly mortgage payment. I'm glad I read that, and I want to touch on that very thing. I just did a video which is coming out last week, and another video coming out next week, a regular video, not a live, where I talk about a lot of homeowners are losing homes because of their mortgage. So let me just chat about it briefly. So if you're a seller, you understand what's happening in the market, and you may be in this situation. And the situation is a lot of the homeowners bought homes, let's say in 2020, 21, and lately 24, 25. What's happening is a lot of these same homeowners are having a hard time paying their mortgage rates, even though they had fixed interest rate. So let's say somebody bought a house in 2023 and the fixed payment was PITI, principal, interest, tax, and insurance. What's happening now, they were happy going along making the payments, and all of a sudden the payment jumped and they got a shock from it and they cannot afford the payments. So the question is, if these homeowners bought this home at PITI fixed, why can they afford the payments? Well, here's the kicker. Your principal and interest is always fixed. Your taxes and insurance and your HOA fees is never fixed. So what's happening is, because of the disasters, because of the insurance crisis, two things have happened. Three things have happened. Number one, in a lot of states, because of the increased home prices, home value, their assessments is a lot higher. So the property tax, when they bought it, now the home is worth a lot more. So the property tax went up. Secondly, talking about property tax, in certain states like Florida and Texas and Denver, the property taxes shot up because the government really increased it significantly. That's one thing. The second thing that happened is the insurance crisis. As we all know, especially here in California, especially Texas, especially Florida, and all those states that are disaster prone with natural disasters like wildfires in California, hurricanes in Florida, tornadoes in Oklahoma, um, what do you call those? Hail in Nebraska. All those have increased insurance cost, skyrocketing increases. So insurance increased, and to make things worse, all the people or homes that have association fees, because of the insurance increases, HOA increased. So now you have a fixed payment, let's say $3,000, and you've been paying along, being happy, pay your first of the day of the mortgage, you pay your mortgage. All of a sudden, you cannot pay because that 3,000 mortgage has jumped to 4,000 a month, 5,000 a month, 6,000 a month because of your homeowners association increase or your property tax increase, or your insurance increase. Furthermore, each home has repairs and maintenance that has gone skyrocketing, especially with the disasters. But even without the disasters, those costs have skyrocketed significantly. So all of a sudden, homeowners are broke. A lot of them, not all of them, a lot of them are broke. They cannot afford the mortgage payment. They cannot afford to fix the house, so they cannot sell it, or they cannot make a living because they got to fix the house. The AC is gone, or there's a major plumbing leak, or there's a roof leak. So they have to fix it, and they're defaulting on mortgage payments. Yes, I said that right. A lot of homeowners today, last this year alone, there's anywhere from 1 million to 2 million FHA loans going delinquent or going to default, where they cannot make it, and a lot of homeowners are on the brink of losing their homes. Yes, this is 2025, and I'm saying that correctly. So we are entering a new phase, and by December I would call it a phase 3, where we are actually going to see homeowners walk from these homes, and we will see that, and I'll definitely do a video on it. That's not a good thing to do, but numbers are talking to us, and we as consumers, we as homeowners, as home buyers, need to look at these numbers. If I'm a home buyer right now and I'm thinking of buying a house at $400,000, I may consider buying something for 350, buy below my means, because there's unexpected cost. And if I'm a seller thinking of selling at $430,000 and not budging, when the market is 410, you may get stuck in the house and end up selling at 390 next year. Who knows where it's going? So you may lose $50,000 worth of equity just like that, because the market changed. So a lot of people who are very rich right now in home equity are going to see their equity just go right off the bat in a couple of years, just disappear. So we're seeing some tough times coming up. When I say tough times, I'm not saying doom and gloom, but these numbers are going to change for you. Your equity numbers, your payment numbers, what you can get from selling those numbers. So I just wanted to talk about that and bring it up briefly. So as a seller, know your days on the market, know what's happening in your market. As a buyer, know what's happening and where you can afford to buy below your means. Look at all these numbers, talk to a local expert, talk to a local lender, talk to a local realtor before you make the jump. Talk to 2 or 3 of them so you know exactly what you're selling, exactly what you're buying. Is this the right time for you to sell? Is this the right time for you to sell and then buy, regardless of the interest rate? So times have changed. Real estate market is changing as we speak. So if you have any question, make any comments. And on that note, I'm going to make a big change starting next week. My lives have been on Mondays at 5 p.m., but I'm going to be switching it to Tuesdays at 5 p.m. So next week, I'll see you at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thanks for watching. I appreciate all your views.